Bill of Rights. Doctrine, Notes and Definitions for the Bill of Rights, Sections 1 to 22, based on the 1987 Constitution. Doctrine, Notes and Definitions. Bill of Rights, 1987 Constitution. Section 1, Due Process and Equal Protection. Definition: Due process, the guarantee that no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without proper notice and hearing, and by laws that are fair and just. Definition: Equal protection, everyone in similar situations must be treated equally by the law. Case, Ulit v. IAC, GR number 74457, March 20, 1987, 148 SCRA 659. Doctrine: EO prohibiting hog transport without hearing was invalid. Why applicable? Both procedural and substantive due process were violated. Section 2, Right against unreasonable searches and seizures. Definition: Citizens are protected from searches and seizures without a judicial warrant based on probable cause. Case, People v. Marty, GR number 81561, January 18, 1991. Doctrine: Constitutional protection applies only to state actions, not private individuals. Why applicable? Clarifies the scope of protection under the Bill of Rights. Section 3, Privacy of communication and inadmissibility of illegally obtained evidence. Definition: Communications and correspondence are inviolable, and evidence obtained illegally is inadmissible. Case, Opel v. Torres, GR number 127685, July 23, 1998, 292 SCRA 141. Doctrine: National ID system struck down due to absence of legal safeguards. Why applicable? Recognize the constitutional right to informational privacy. Section 4, Freedom of speech, expression, and the press. Definition: Individuals may express opinions freely, subject to limitations like libel or clear and present danger. Case, Chavez. Clear and present danger. Case, Chavez v. Gonzalez, GR number 168338, February 15, 2008. Doctrine: Government warnings to media constituted prior restraint. Why applicable? Affirms prohibition against prior restraints. Section 5, Freedom of religion. Definition: The free exercise and establishment of religion shall not be prohibited. Case, Aberlanag v. Division Superintendent, GR number 95770, March 1, 1993. Doctrine: Students may refuse flag ceremony on religious grounds. Why applicable? Distinguishes belief, absolute, from conduct, subject to regulation. Section 6, Liberty of abode and right to travel. Definition: Citizens can live and travel freely, except as restricted by law for national security, public safety, or health. Case, Marcos v. Manglapus, GR number 88211, September 15, 1989. Doctrine: President may bar return of a citizen in extraordinary circumstances. Why applicable? Illustrates state authority in times of national emergency. Section 7, Right to information. Definition: Access to official documents involving public interest is guaranteed. Case, Legaspi v. CSC, GR No. L72119, May 29, 1987. Doctrine: Public has standing to request access to government records. Why applicable? Enhances government accountability. Section 8, Right to form associations. Definition: Citizens may freely form or join associations. Case, Sta Clara Homeowners v. Gaston, GR number 141961, January 23, 2002. Doctrine: Right not to associate is part of right to associate. Why applicable? Prevents forced association with HOAs. Section 9, Eminent domain. Definition: Private property may be taken for public use with just compensation. Case, Republic v. VDA. De Castlevy, GR No. L20620, August 15, 1974. Doctrine: Taking requires actual entry and deprivation. Why applicable? Set standards for compensable expropriation. Section 10, Non-impairment of contracts. Definition: The state may not pass laws impairing the obligation of valid contracts. Case, Lozano v. Martinez, GR No. L63419, December 18, 1986. Doctrine: BPBLG. 22 punishes fraud, not non-payment. Why applicable? Balances contract protection with police power. Section 11. Free access to courts. Definition: justice shall be accessible to all, especially the poor. Note, no single landmark case, but the principle is upheld in Santiago v. Vasquez, GR number 99289, as part of due process. Section 12. Rights under custodial investigation. Definition: right to be informed of the right to remain silent and to have competent counsel. Case: People v. Ulit, GR No. L51770, March 20, 1985. Doctrine: confession without proper warning and counsel is inadmissible. Why applicable? Applies Miranda-like rights in PH setting. Section 13. Right to bail. Definition: all persons shall be bailable before conviction, except for capital offenses when evidence of guilt is strong. Case: Leviste v. Court of Appeals, GR number 189122, March 17, 2010. Doctrine: bail post-conviction is discretionary. Why applicable? Clarifies when bail is a right or privilege. Section 14. Rights of the accused. Definition: includes presumption of innocence, right to be informed, counsel, speedy trial, etc. Case: Cascaluela v. Sandiganbayan, GR number 191411, July 15, 2013. Doctrine: delay in filing of case violates speedy trial. Why applicable? Reinforces right to timely justice. Section 15. Suspension of the writ of habeas corpus. Definition: may only be suspended in cases of invasion or rebellion when public safety requires. Case: Lansang v. Garcia, GR No. L33964, December 11, 1971. Doctrine: suspension of the writ is subject to judicial review. Why applicable? Ensures checks on executive power. Section 16. Right to speedy disposition of cases. Definition: all cases must be resolved without unreasonable delay. Case: Perez v. Sandiganbayan, GR number 228914, July 3, 2017. Doctrine: delay without justification violates rights. Why applicable? Applies to both judicial and administrative bodies. Section 17. Right against self-incrimination. Definition: no person shall be compelled to testify against himself. Case: People v. Asen, GR number 85215, July 7, 1989. Doctrine: applies only to testimonial compulsion. Why applicable? Non-testimonial evidence, e.g., physical, not covered. Section 18. Involuntary servitude and political beliefs. Definition: no one shall be forced into labor, no detention for beliefs. Case: International School v. NLRC, GR number 119512, June 5, 1997. Doctrine: contract expiration is not equal to involuntary servitude. Why applicable? Protects employment freedom. Section 19. Cruel, degrading or inhuman punishment. Definition: punishment must be humane and proportionate. Note, interpreted through jurisprudence on excessive penalties in death penalty ban, RA 9346. Section 20. No imprisonment for debt. Definition: purely civil debts cannot lead to imprisonment. Note, courts uphold this principle in civil procedure, no landmark case specifically cited. Section 21. Double jeopardy. Definition: no person shall be tried twice for the same offense after acquittal or conviction. Note, recognized in various SC rulings such as People v. Assis and People v. Absania. Section 22. Ex post facto law and bill of attainder. Definition: laws must not penalize actions retroactively or impose punishment without judicial trial. Case: People v. Ferrer, GR No. L32613, December 27, 1972. Doctrine: anti-subversion law, not a bill of attainder as it required trial. Why applicable? Reinforces judicial process.